rather controversial issue in the United States is race and crime, particularly the difference in treatment of whites and blacks in the criminal justice system remains gapped and unbalanced. Although this issue dates back to the beginning of crime, in the 21st century, the racial divide in the criminal justice system continues to grow. The 2013 Uniform Crime Report states that 66% of crime in the United States is committed by whites, while 30.7% is committed by blacks. The issue with those numbers is the fact that the white individuals make up 62% of the U.S. population, while blacks are a mere 12%. They are being overrepresented in jails and prisons across the country. When looking into the disparity in race in the criminal justice system, it is important to know that disparity and discrimination are not the same thing. However, discrimination can lead to disparity in numbers. In the criminal justice system, as we try to decide whether the disparity is due to discrimination, we look at legal and extra-legal factors. Legal factors relate to an individual's behavior and can be considered basis for decision made inside the criminal justice system. Extra-legal factors involve group membership and are illegitimate basis for arrest. The inequalities in how members of society hold prejudices of blacks, more specifically black men out on the streets. There has been an emergence of the controversial law enforcement practice of racial profiling, resulting in revolts, protests, and cries for changes to be made. Upon apprehension of offenders, there also lies an inconsistency with how the different races are incarcerated, with blacks more likely to receive harsher sentences than other races. It has been found that in the United States, the criminal justice system exhibits institutionalized racism that discriminates against persons of color, most severely blacks. This disputes those individuals who believe that blacks simply commit crime at exceptionally higher rates than others. Legislators at federal, state, and local levels create criminal justice system by enacting the laws prohibiting specific behaviors. Police and courts help keep individuals responsible for following these rules. The problem is that many of these laws have a disproportionate impact on minority individuals as compared to whites. For example, the war on drugs upholds disproportionate mandatory sentencing when it comes to drugs. The 3 strikes ruling sends 3-time felony offenders to prison for life, and the over-reliance on incarceration inhibits adequate rehabilitation upon the release of inmates in order to have a successful run when they re-enter society, that is, if they ever do. These types of jurisdictions put blacks behind from the start, making their battle against the criminal justice system that much more difficult. When it comes to policing the streets, things don't get easier. Practices such as racial profiling are issues that continue to cause tension and distrust between the criminal justice system and the black community. There lies a long history of conflict, from Rodney King Jr. to Eric Garner. Blacks claim to have not been granted the justice they deserve. Upon arrest, discrimination in the court system continues to burden people of color. Often, black defendants were too poor to hire their own attorneys and are assigned court-appointed public defenders. Despite the attempts to keep discrimination from the courts, there are ways around it, and it is not uncommon to see lawyers dismiss minorities from the selection, adversely affecting minority defendants. Whether the decisions were made conscious or unconsciously, all of these factors lead to the harsher sentencing of blacks. This has become too commonly true that jokes are made of it.
Hannah Stevenson, the 16-year-old girl from Detroit, accused of stabbing a classmate to death with a screwdriver last month. At her arraignment this afternoon, Hannah received the harshest possible sentencing from the judge. She will be tried as a black adult.
Due to the extreme and violent nature of this crime, this court finds it fitting to try the defendant as an African American.
1 in 15 black children and 1 in 111 white children had a parent in prison in 2007. Black children are 7.5 times more likely than white children to have a parent in prison.
My mama was like my daddy, my brothers, my cousins, everybody.
Why do blacks excessively continue to feel the heavy burden of the criminal justice system in their communities? If we turn to theories, this can accurately be explained by the conflict theory. According to this theory, the law is used to maintain the power of the dominant group in society and to control the behavior of individuals who threaten that power. This explains the inequalities as the result of prejudicial attitudes in the part of the white majority and discrimination against minorities in employment, education, housing, and other aspects of society. Those inherently explain overrepresentation of racial ethnic minorities in arrest, prosecution, imprisonment, and capital punishment. Those who believe that the criminal justice system is fair and absent of racial discrimination may refute the conflict theory using the consensus theory. In this instance, majority of the society believes that the law is justly made based on acts conflicting with shared values and beliefs of the society.
All lives matter! All lives matter! All lives...
It is simply unrealistic to look at the criminal justice system and say that it encompasses pure justice for all. The disproportionate numbers were created through a system that is compromised of long-standing injustices in the creating of laws.
I'm here today to protest against the racial profiling and the murders of our men today. We would like all equalness for all men, for all men.